Hari Om. In the software engineering course, we are currently discussing the fifth module. We have, in our previous video, we have seen what is software testing and the different terminologies. What is black box testing, which is also known as functional testing, and some of the techniques under functional testing were also discussed in the previous videos. And we are currently discussing the white box testing, which is also known as structural testing, in which the previous video was talking about the path testing. And in this video, we are going to talk about cyclomatic complexity. All these terminologies we have already come across. What do you mean by different levels of testing? What are the different types, or what are the different strategies that are followed in software testing? What are the different techniques under each and every testing type also we have discussed. What do you mean by defect management? What do you mean by test management? All these terms we have seen briefly in our previous video. Today in the white box testing, we are going to talk about what is cyclomatic complexity. This complexity is also known as structural complexity because it gives the internal view of the code. When I say internal view, what is the basic internal structure of your source code? The internal structure describes each and every statement, what is the execution flow, how many number of branches you have in your program. This is what you call as internal view of the code. Now, if you see the structural complexity or the cyclomatic complexity, this approach is generally used to find how many number of independent paths are there. So, if you have more number of independent paths, obviously your program is a complex program. You can think about decomposing the program. And this approach will help you to find out how many number of test cases that must be conducted, or I can say it gives you the maximum number of test cases that must be conducted for the given source code. So if the complexity is 10, the maximum you can have a 10 number of test cases designed. So when I say independent paths, often we use this term in our white box testing. In the path testing also, we have seen what is an independent path. So this is the definition for independent path. It is any path through the program that introduces at least one new set of processing statement or a condition. So in your program, when you start from the first statement to the last statement, if you start adding a new processing statement or a new condition, then you call that path as an independent path. Now, when you take the cyclomatic complexity, it was actually introduced by Thomas McCabe. So that is why we call it as McCabe's cyclomatic metric. It is a software metric and it is generally used to indicate the complexity of a program. And it can also be called as a quantitative measure of the logical complexity. Logical complexity, it describes the execution flow of the program. Or you can say it is the number of linearly independent paths of the program's source code. Linearly independent paths can be identified using this particular metric. And this is actually developed by Thomas McCabe in 1976. If you take the cyclomatic complexity, this complexity measure uses the McCabe's cyclomatic metric, and the metric is defined as mathematically the cyclomatic complexity of a structured program is defined with reference to the control flow graph. In our previous video, we have discussed what do you mean by a control flow graph. Control flow graph is nothing but a directed graph that contains the basic blocks of the program. When I say basic blocks of the program, all the individual statements or a combination of statements, a block of statements of the program, and these individual blocks will have an edge between two nodes if control may pass from first node to the second node. This is the simple definition for what do you mean by a cyclomatic metric. It is a complexity of the structured program which can be defined with reference to the control flow of the control flow graph of the program. And control flow graph is a directed graph that contains the basic blocks of the program with an edge between two nodes if control may pass from the first node to the second node. Now when I say it is mathematically calculated value, obviously you will have a particular formula for the cyclomatic complexity. So this is the formula for the complexity V of G. G is the control flow graph, and which is equal to E, which is number of edges, N number of vertices, and P is the number of connected components. I'm sorry, let us correct this. This is not B, this is actually N. So this is the formula for the cyclomatic complexity calculation. The value of the given control flow graph, which is the complexity metric of the given graph G, is equal to number of edges minus number of vertices plus 2 into P. P is known as number of connected components. Now when I say connected component, if you have one graph where all the nodes are connected by the edges, then you call it as a connected component. And sometimes in your source code you may be having two different functions and you want to represent each function as a graph. Then you will be representing function 1 as one directed graph and function 2 as another directed graph, and a main function as the third graph. If so, your program will be having three different connected components. So P is nothing but how many number of connected components you have in your source code. Now in your flow graph, you will have arrows which you call as the edges that will be representing the flow of control, execution flow. And you have circles. We know that the circles are used for representing the nodes. And you have areas bounded by edges and nodes. This is called as a region. And you will have a predicate node. Whichever node is having a decision or it is having a condition, then you call it as a predicate node. Say for example, if this is the graph, then you have edges, you have nodes. So which you call as the edge is nothing but these are the edges in your graph, these are the nodes in your graph, and this particular area which is closed can be called as one region. So this is one region and this area is another region, and this particular area is the third region, and this particular area can be called as the fourth region. I repeat, the areas bounded by edges and nodes is called as a region. So this is the area which is bounded by the nodes and the edges. So how many nodes are there? B and E, two nodes are there, and these are the two edges. And this particular area is bounded by two nodes and two edges. Then you call this as a region. And if your node is having more than one branch, all of us know that it is going to be the decision making branch or a condition branch. Say for example, A is having 3 branches, so A can be called as a predicate node or a decision node. So whichever node is having multiple branches coming out, you can say it is going to be a predicate node. Okay. Now the question is, if you have a control flow graph, something like this, how do you calculate the complexity metric of a graph? So let us take this particular graph as an example. I have A as the entry node and F as the exit node. And how many number of vertices are there? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 vertices are there. How many number of edges are there? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. 9 edges are there. 6 vertices are there or 6 nodes are there and 9 edges are there. How many connected components you have? There is only one connected component. All these nodes are connected together, so the component is going to be only one. So if this is the case, how do you calculate the metric? Number of edges minus number of vertices plus 2 into number of connected components. If this is the case, what could be the metric value for this particular graph? Let us see now. I have 9 edges, E is equal to 9. I have 6 vertices, N is equal to 6. How many connected components are there? I have only one connected component, so P value is equal to 1. If so, the formula gives you the value 5. So that means for the control flow graph, for this particular given graph, I have 5 as the cyclometric complexity measure or the metric value. This informs you that you are going to have 5 different independent paths for the given flow graph. So for this particular flow graph, I am going to have 5 different independent paths. What are the 5 different independent paths? I have ACF. ACF is one path. Then you have ABEF, which will be ABEF. Then you have ADCF. ADC and F is another path. Then you have ABEACF. ABEACF. ABE, then again ACF. Or you will have another path which will be taking the A, B, E, then it will go back to A itself. Instead of C, it will go to B, then C and F. This is another independent path. So this can be called as another path. And then you have A, B, E, B, E, F, which will be A, B, E, B, E and F. So these are the different independent paths you will have for the given flow graph. Okay, fine. Now let us take another example. This is another example given. I have instructions like this. So you have I is equal to 0, N is equal to 4, while loop is starting here. Again you have one processing statement, another while loop, another decision making statement. Then you have function being called, then you have end statement, then you have I being incremented and the last end statement of the while do. Now if this is your program, you have to write, you may be having one particular function for the swapping operation because you are invoking swap here. So what you have to do, you have to draw a flow graph for this particular set of statements, and for the swap function which you might have written separately, you have to draw a component, a flow graph separately. So if this is the case, how many flow graphs you will be having? I will have a flow graph for this and I will have another flow graph for the swap function. If so, the number of connected components you will get for the flow graph of this particular source code will be 2. So this is what you have to understand. So whenever you have a function call something like this, for the function you have to write a separate code and you have to draw a separate control flow graph for that particular code. This is what you have to understand here in the control flow graph. Now let us take another example. And for this particular flow graph, let us imagine this is one flow graph we are going to have. Let us see how to calculate the flow graph for this. We know that the formula for calculating the metric is number of edges minus number of vertices plus 2 into P. P is nothing but connected component. So how many connected components I have for this particular flow graph? I am having only 1. If so, your metric value will be, how many number of edges are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So 9 edges are there. Great. How many vertices are there? 7 vertices are there. So 7 plus 2 into P. How many connected components are there? Only one connected component. So 9 minus 7 plus 2 will give you value 4. Now apart from using this particular formula, you have another formula specified here which gives you the same value, and it says 3 plus 1, where 3 specifies how many number of predicate nodes are there in your flow graph. Predicate nodes are nothing but the nodes that are having conditions. So that are having more than one outgoing branches. Let us see how many nodes are having more than one outgoing branches. Fine. If you see node 1 is having outgoing branch going to 7. Node 1 is having branch going to 2. So node 1 is obviously a predicate node. Then you have node 2. Again from node 2 you have 2 outgoing branches. So obviously 2 is also a predicate node. Then you have 3 here. If you see 3 is also having 2 branches outgoing, 1 to 4 and another one for 5. If so, 3 is also a predicate node. Whereas 4 is having only one outgoing branch, 5 is having only one outgoing branch, 6 is having only one outgoing branch. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. These are the 3 nodes which are having conditions. So total number of predicate nodes are 3. So 3 plus 1 will also give you the metric value. So 3 is nothing but how many number of predicate nodes you have for the given flow graph, plus 1 will give you the number of independent paths. Again for this flow graph, let us see what are the independent paths available. So if you see from 1 you directly go to 7. So that can be, this is the entry node and this is going to be the exit node. So from 1 you have 1 directly going to 7. Then you have 1, 2, 6, 1, 1, 2, 6, 1, 7. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 6, 1, 7 which you can try on your own. Then 1, 2, 3, 5, 2, 6, 1, 7 is another independent path. So for the given graph like this, you will have 4 independent paths which can be derived. So for each path you can go for designing a test case. Now in our previous discussion, control flow graph itself, we have seen what is the purpose of drawing a control flow graph and decision to decision path graph. The purpose of drawing these graphs are to identify the independent paths that are available in a program code. Why do you want to derive the independent paths? I can design test cases for each path so that all the statements will be executed and tested. Now this is another example. You have a while loop that is describing some set of statements. You have if statement inside the while loop, and for each condition you can observe here how the nodes are being designed. So you have the while loop being repeated up to 8. So this is the while statement, and when the while statement becomes false, it directly goes to the end of statements, which will be printing the counter. So for this set of statements, these are the nodes and edges that can be derived. And for this graph, again these will be the independent paths you will be deriving, and you can observe here the cyclomatic complexity can be calculated using 3 different formulas. See how we are adding. In our first flow graph we have used only this particular formula. What is the formula? How many number of edges minus number of vertices plus 2 into connected component. And apart from that, you can also see here another formula that is used as number of edges minus number of nodes or vertices plus number of terminal nodes. So usually you will have 2 as the number of terminal nodes. There will be one exit node and one entry node. So only 2 terminal vertices will be available for any one connected component. So obviously you can have the formula as number of edges minus number of vertices plus 2 into connected component, or you call it as number of terminal vertices. Then we have also seen number of predicate nodes plus 1 can also be used for the formula. In the same way, how many number of regions are there in the flow graph, that can also be used to find out the number of independent paths. So if you have 4 regions in the flow graph, then 4 different independent paths will be there for the given program. So these are some of the properties of the cyclomatic complexity, we can say, where the cyclomatic complexity will be always greater than or equal to 1, and the complexity is the maximum number of independent paths in the graph G. So if you have the metric value as 5, then obviously maximum you can have 5 different independent paths. Inserting and deleting functional statements to G does not affect the metric value. What do you mean by that? If you add processing statements, if you are going to add processing statements, this is not going to affect the value of the cyclometric measure. If you insert and delete functional statements are the statements which will be doing only the processing. It is not a condition. It is going to be only a processing. Say for example, A is equal to 100. This can be called as a processing statement. Or you say printf some format specification and values. This can be called as a processing statement. Or if you have A is equal to B plus C into D, that can also be called as a functional statement or a processing statement. So if you insert or delete any processing statement in a graph, it is not going to affect the graph. And the graph has only one path if and only if the metric value is equal to 1. If the complexity value is equal to 1, then it is going to have only one execution path. That means there is no decision making statement in your program, or you can say there is no condition specified in your program. It is going to be a single sequential flow of execution. Then inserting a new row in G increases the measure by unity. That means if you are going to insert a new row in your graph, then automatically it will be increasing the metric value by 1. Then V of G is nothing but your metric value, depends only on the decision structure of G. See, your metric measure is always depending on the decision structure. So that is why we have seen you can even use the predicate nodes for calculating the metric, because the metric value is completely depending upon how many number of decision nodes you have in the graph. So it says that the metric value depends only on the decision structure and not on the functional statement. That is why even if you insert or delete a functional statement, it is not going to affect the metric value. Whereas if you start adding a decision structure or removing a decision structure, obviously it will be it will be affecting the metric value. So these are some of the properties you should know under the cyclomatic complexity. And this is what I was talking about. Suppose if you have a main function and the main function is invoking, let us assume this is the entry point, this is the exit point, and this is where the main function is calling function A, and this is where the main function is calling function B. So what you do, you write the main function separately, function A separately, and you will be writing function B separately. So ultimately you will have a flow graph for main function, a flow graph for function A, and a flow graph for function B. If so, you will have 3 different connected components for the given program. Because I am drawing flow graph separately for main function, graph A represents the function A and graph B represents function B. If so, the question is, how do you calculate the metric value? If you have flow graph drawn independently for each and every function, this is how we will be calculating the metric value. How do you calculate? Calculate the value of M, then calculate the value of A, calculate the value of B, then add them together, you will get the complexity metric of the given source code. So you will have 3 different components here. Now these are the 2 alternate methods which we have already discussed in our example. 1. The cyclomatic complexity of flow graph G is equal to the number of predicate nodes plus 1, which we have seen already. Number of decision making nodes plus 1 will give you the complexity metric. So it can be denoted like this. V of G is equal to number of predicate nodes plus 1, where phi is the number of predicate nodes contained in the flow graph G. And it can also be calculated where it is equal to the number of regions of the flow graph. This also we have seen in our example. So these are the 2 alternate methods. Apart from calculating the metric using number of edges minus number of vertices plus 2 into connected component, this is one of the basic formula used for calculating the metric. Apart from that, 2 alternate methods are there. What are they? 1, predicate nodes plus 1 will give you the metric value, or the number of regions of the flow graph will also give you the metric value. So these are the steps that we have to follow for computing the cyclomatic complexity and deriving the test case design. First, you have to construct a graph with nodes and edges from the code, which will be your control flow graph, or even you can have decision to decision path graph. Then you will have to identify what are the independent paths available, and then you can go for calculating the cyclomatic complexity. So whatever be the number of the metric value you are deriving in the cyclomatic complexity calculation, that many number of independent paths you must have. If so, the calculation is correct, then for each independent path you can design a test case. This is how we use the cyclomatic complexity to test the internal structure of a source code or a program code. In the next video, let us discuss what is a graph matrix and how it is used for the white box testing. Thank you.